Hello, and thank you for joining us for the 2024 Fall Candidate Forums hosted by the Ashland Chamber of Commerce. My name is Eli Katkin. I am the owner and operator of the Brick Room restaurant here in Ashland. Today we have Denise Kraus, who we are introducing for Jackson County Commissioner Position 2. Denise, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Great. I'm just going to read a couple words about the Chamber of Commerce and some of the amazing things that we do. The Ashland Chamber is a 135-year-old organization with over 500 members that includes not only Ashland's largest companies and employers, but also many smaller companies with 1 to 5 people. The Chamber serves as a main point of contact for business expansion, relocation, networking, resource connections, and also operates Travel Ashland that's inspiring people to come and visit Ashland. This forum is an example of the many outreach programs and activities hosted by the Chamber. Other activities include the Ashland 4th of July Parade, the Festival of Lights. We also do the Ashland Firewise program, which is another example of a strong collaboration between the Chamber and the Ashland Fire Department to make sure that the business and the community are prepared in case of wildfire disaster. We are a nonpartisan, private, nonprofit corporation. We do not have a political affiliation or a political action committee, and we do not endorse candidates. The Chamber sponsors this candidate forum really as a service to the community. This forum is being recorded on RVTV, cable network, and the RVTV app. This program will also be available on the Ashland Chamber website at ashlandchamber.com. So we have just today Denise Kraus. Randy Sparacino could not attend today. He's out of town, but did send his regrets that he's missing the forum. So in this forum, we'll have a 2-minute opening statement, at which after that we'll have questions where there's 3 minutes to answer, and 30 seconds a bell will ring, and at 10 seconds a bell will ring, indicating that the time is almost up. Follow-up questions will be 2 minutes, and we also use the same bell system. Well, without further ado, let's hop right into it. Okay. So with the 2-minute opening statement, tell us a little about why you're running, and briefly discuss some of your skills and accomplishments, what qualifies you to serve as a Jackson County Commissioner.
Okay, great, thank you. Thanks for letting me be here today. So I am running for County Commissioner to serve the taxpayers of Jackson County because there is a big need for a commissioner who prioritizes listening to the community and to valuing public input and to ensuring that the county is responsibly and carefully spending hard-earned taxpayer dollars. So I am the most qualified candidate in this race. I have a background in healthcare and education and small business and farming and a PhD in preventive medicine. So those things give me the skills and the experience that helps me to bring people together, and it's what we need to do at this time in our county is we really need to start bringing people together to work on solving the complex challenges that we are facing and to make Jackson County a better place to work and to live and to play.
Great, thank you. And you just referenced some of the challenges, and one of my questions I have for you is, what do you think the 3 biggest challenges are that Jackson County is facing?
You know, that sounds like a straightforward and simple question, but when I think of the 3, you know, so many of our issues, the challenges that we're facing are intertwined. So we obviously have issues with the housing crisis. You know, housing is just too expensive. Wages are relatively low. We've got a shortage or inadequate mental health services and addiction treatment services. We have homelessness and the housing crisis again. We have issues around the jail and the revolving doors of the jail. We have a lack of resources in our court system, and we have an insufficient animal shelter facility. And then, of course, there's fire preparedness. There are so many issues that the county is involved in. So you say the top three, but I'm really interested in all of these things that you cannot separate. They're so intertwined. And so I can't just say, this is how we're going to address homelessness and this is how we're going to address mental health or addiction, because they're all so interrelated. And so really the work hasn't been done to look at how these, I want to bring people together, and I will respect experts and bring in people with lived experience and really start to look at things more as a overall overarching kind of strategic plan. And you can't handle any of these things in isolation, and they're all so important. And so I know that I'm not evading the question, I'm just saying that I can't separate them because they're all so important, and they all affect each other. And so to bring people together, I've been doing that in my career. My career was in healthcare for 25 years. And my whole focus was about access to healthcare and services and quality of life. And that's the same thing this is. I still am very concerned on access to care and services and how do we maintain and promote a better quality of life in Jackson County. So it's skills that I bring forward and I can really readily apply to this position, and I'm very excited to do that because, like I said, this work hasn't been done. 2 years ago, Jackson County was offered $1 million for homelessness, and our county commissioners rejected that. And we need to be proactive about addressing these things, so when that kind of opportunity comes, that the money is available, we will know how to best spend it to get the most benefit for our communities.
Great, thank you. This kind of ties in to some of the issues that you were just talking about, and I know that they can be interconnected, but really, what do you see your role and what do you hope to accomplish with some of these bigger issues? When we talk about specifically homelessness or a housing crisis, could you give us any specifics of maybe what your hopes would be to accomplish?
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to do as commissioners is to come out from behind closed doors and get out into the community and start understanding and being more in touch with what's going on and what people are struggling with on a day-to-day basis. And currently I'm knocking on doors and I'm meeting people all over the county, and I love doing that. I love getting out and getting around out in the community. And we need to be able to engage the public. They need to know that they have commissioners who are looking out for them, that they have somebody to turn to when they need help. We haven't really had that. So I think that we need more representation, that you have somebody you can go to. You have somebody who values your input and who wants to listen and will listen, and will factor that in, bring experts into the conversation. So I just think that that is a different kind of a commissioner. That's the kind of commissioner that I want to be, is to have an open door policy and to really engage and promote community engagement and really focus on transparency and accountability in this process.
Okay, great. Being from here in Ashland, we know that the county has numerous tracts of county land within and adjacent to the city of Ashland and Ashland properties. And I think this is an important issue for us as residents here in Ashland on how, what the plan would be to manage these lands with such issues as weed abatement, fire prevention, and road repair. And just a specific example of why this is so important is the Alameda fire started on county land here within the confines of the city. Right.
Yeah, and that is the situation all over the county. Is there's county lands interspersed with city lands, and I think the first thing that we need to do is take responsibility. And if it's going to be county land, then we need to take care of county land. And obviously, the Alameda fire was a very big reminder of why that is so important. But also would like to be able to work more with the communities and come up with collaborative ways to do these kinds of things as well. I mean, if you look at just the Greenway, which was the main path of the fire, that cuts through, I think it's 7 jurisdictions. And so, county really needs to come together with the communities and with the other jurisdictions to be at the table. I think often, I think that it's been a problem of taking responsibility for that, and we need to figure out a way to do that. Definitely weed abatement is huge. It matters. Fire doesn't know any boundaries. If we're not taking care of our lands, and it doesn't matter what the neighbor is doing, so we really all need to step up and come together and work on this.
Okay. And that actually kind of leads right into the next question. What is your opinion on emergency planning and response in the county? And how would you improve the collaboration and coordination, which is kind of a direct subset of the last jurisdictional conversation?
Yeah, I think we can learn something from the Alameda fire response was not adequate. The alerting system wasn't sounded in time, and then learning later that there had been an attempt at coordination, but if jurisdictions weren't represented, that was overlooked. And we need to make sure that everybody is coming to the table and that we're really working together. And I'm talking about with, if the community is not showing up and we're trying to coordinate resources, we need to make sure somebody is going to be there to represent that community. So when the disaster does happen, they're not left without resources. So again, it's county really needs to take responsibility and be at the table and to be open to working with the communities and be a part of the solution.
Great, thank you. We all know that water resources are limited. How would you respond to competing uses?
That's a pretty broad question. Competing uses. Well, I think the first thing we need to do is I don't think we're talking about this enough. This is really a big thing. Water is a precious natural resource, and we don't have, I've heard it said, we often don't have enough water to put out fires, and this is a real problem. So I think we need to focus a lot more on conservation and planning for future and try to make our water resources go further, because we want to build housing and we need more housing, and we know our population is going to grow and it's going to continue to stress our resources and our water resources. So we're going to have to come up with a lot more creative solutions about how we're going to address those needs. And the really wonderful thing is that there are so many people. We have amazing resources in this county of people who know, or they're experts in the field. They have some really good ideas, and they just need to be heard, and they need to be able to be encouraged to think creatively, and let's start to figure out how we're going to address that. So when it's competing resources, if it's, we've got to protect agriculture, but we also have to protect, it's all important. It's all important, but when there's waste, we need to really stop waste. And if it's illegal agriculture, of course, then we really need to crack down on that.
Okay. How would you use the office of the county commissioner to really look at the housing crisis, from affordable housing access, but even really just, I know that it's an intertwined web, but also with the homelessness issues that we have in the valley. Is there any specifics that you can give us about how you would use the office to have some positive movement on those issues?
Yeah, I think one of the first things that I would like to do, and I said earlier a little bit that we really haven't done the work. One thing we just haven't gotten out there to really understand what the problem is. And I really want to start with gathering data, gathering information, getting out and interviewing our homeless population, And we assume so many things. They want care, they don't want help, or whatever, and then we try to give some solution without really well defining the problem to start with. So this is actually something that I did in my career. I was, in a professor of population health, and and it was all about access to care and services. And first you do is you inventory what you've got, and define what the problems really are. And then you bring together all these people that really understand and start to look at how can we affect a change on that. So that is one thing I want to do, is to start by getting the facts. We have not done that. We just have not gone and done that proactive work of getting the facts. And then we'll know better how we can address it. But also I'd really like to have opened the door to conversations about county and city partnerships. And there are those instances where county lands are within the city, and I think we have so many opportunities to maybe work together on county land with city housing developments, and everybody could be part of the solution there, and it could benefit a lot of different people. I mean, county's still going to get their taxes paid, and let's start figuring out how we can help the communities in that way.
Great. So here's a question I have for you. We know that maybe a lot of people at home don't really know the full expanse of really even what the county commissioner's job description really has. And I believe it has a lot of different avenues and things that it actually does. So tell us a little about what you view the job description of a county commissioner to be.
Okay, yeah, well, I think first of all it's to represent the people who elected them. So that's really important, to give people a voice. But on top of that, we all are paying taxes, and our tax money goes back, and the county has a large budget. It's this year about $640 million, and so they are making major decisions about how our tax dollars are being spent, and that's really important. But it's gotten to be where we need that process to be more public. We need transparency around that process, and the county should be accountable to the taxpayers about how the money is being spent. So that's a really, really important role. And I can just give you a recent example of, we received a few years ago, we received about over $40 million in COVID relief funding for Jackson County. And all the other counties did too, and we were all supposed to have a public process where we would the community would help to define what the spending priorities would be. Well, that happened everywhere except Jackson County. We didn't have a public process. We didn't have any opportunity for public input at any time. So after all these, 3 years later of sitting on that money, now we find out that money plus another maybe 30 million or so of our general fund is slated to be building a pandemic response center at the expo, and nobody asked for that. Nobody had an opportunity to weigh in. So I think that the process, really needs to be opened up, to be more accountable. Let the taxpayers have some input on how our money's being spent, and make sure it's going to make the biggest difference in our communities.
Do you have any specifics of how you would open those forums up? Just would it be a city hall or a public forum, or?
Yeah, so other counties have done it in different ways. They've had either public forums, they've had town halls, they've done surveys where they gathered information. I want to have a town hall in every community, at least one every year. And there's a few to get around, so that would be busy. But I really think that's so important to get out and let the people. It's not a good thing when people in Jackson County don't even know what the commissioners do, because they should know more, because the commissioners should be out there and knowing who their constituents are, and communicating and educating the public about what are the issues and what are we doing for you. That's important information to be taking out to the public.
Great. So Denise, if you'd like to take 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay, sure. Well, I think, to me, I I got started in this because I had a personal experience with other people, community issue, where we went to the county commissioners for help and we didn't get any. And then along the way I've met several more people who have run into that same kind of experience. So I realized then that it seems like a lot of people who live in unincorporated Jackson County or in some of the smaller communities don't really have adequate representation and need better representation. But also, you know, again, we're all paying taxes. And so the more I've watched and the more I've learned is that we really have to have accountability. We really need to open the doors to county government. I want to like put service back into public service. You know, it used to be a lot more open, and it needs to be now, but it needs to be accountable to the voters for sure, and the people who live here, because we're all going to live better when we start to do that, and to respect one another, and to value that you may be able to add something to the conversation. And I want to hear it. I want to see what we can come up with together, because that is what is exciting. I have good ideas. I think there's some pretty good ideas, but they're so limited compared to what we can come up with when we do this together, you know. And so I think, you know, we can't really solve today's problems with yesterday's thinking. And so I'm bringing new ideas into this. I want to really open this up. I want it to be for the people, and I'm going to stand up to special interests. I will fight for fairness every day, and I just really am ready to serve, you know, to serve Jackson County. I'm at that point in my life now where I really can. I know that people are so busy and they don't really have time to make sure that their local government is working in their best interests, but I do have that time right now. And so I'm ready to step up and do that work.
Great. Thank you, Denise. So that concludes our forum.
Okay.
I wish you the best of luck. And thank you also to the RV TV crew for filming this here today. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.